Hey everyone, it's Kong again with another episode of Should You Summon. As always, I'm going to be presenting high-level overviews to help you decide whether this banner is worth your hard-earned vouchers and crystals. I'm just back from another weekend of screaming on roller coasters and then screaming at the elimination of the Toronto Maple Leafs, so my voice is going to be a little bit rough in this episode, but I'm not sick, so happy to get on with it. This month, we've got a limited crossover banner featuring two characters from Sega's real-time tactical game Valkyria Chronicles, Selvaria and Alicia. Continuing the trend of the past few update headlining banners, this one will run for the whole month, from May 19th to June 15th. As a rate-up banner, you have a 40% chance to get each on-banner character, with the remaining 20% of course reserved for any other hero in the regular summoning pool. We'll just go ahead and get started with Selvaria. Selvaria is a long-range sniper. Her gimmick mainly hinges on punishing enemies based on their distance from her. For example, full health enemies who end their turns too close to her, up to 5 spaces away at 6 stars, take fixed damage. Her 3-cost skill transforms her into sniper mode, increasing her range by 7 and making it so she can't move. Next turn, she gets access to a guard-ignoring attack that gets a damage boost and hits the hero directly if the target is at the end of her 3C boosted attack range. Now, this is a pretty strict requirement, but it can be mitigated a bit by the new bow that's coming to global servers in August. As far as other interesting skills, she can bring a 2-cost skill that lets her choose between an offensive, defensive, or crit boosting aura, and she has an attack that can reduce the target's range. She's a member of Heroes of Time, buffed by Joshua, Angelica, and Yusuke, Strategic Masters, buffed by Ultimuller and Lanford, and Empire's Honor, buffed by Bernhardt, Leon, Lance, and Rosenseal. For bonds, she's a crossover unit, so she doesn't need any other characters to unlock her bonds, and she's not going to be needed to unlock any other character's bonds. The same goes for the other characters involved with this crossover, so I won't mention that point again. For content, none of the stuff she's on faction for in PvE is particularly interesting, although her somewhat unique kit does give her some potentially interesting cheese appeal. There might be a challenge or an event somewhere down the line where being able to post up 9 tiles away and snipe with impunity is the key to an easy victory. We've seen young Jessica and Farakia get used in similar ways before, so maybe. Whether she's any good in PvP depends on how well you can make use of her extremely tilted balance of limitations versus payoff. Since she's such a one-trick pony, the enemy's always going to be aware of what you're trying to do with her. Then the question is whether that one big snipe is worth all the trouble. In general, no. And if you can't get enemies lined up at the exact right range, then she just becomes another underwhelming archer. Alright, let's move on to Alicia, who I think is the real headliner of this banner, particularly since she's one of the main protagonists of the Valkyria Chronicles game. Alicia is a mobile battle archer. She can move through enemies, and she treats all terrain as grassland, and she gets a number of chances to mitigate movement cost. When she moves through units, she can stack up to plus 16% damage and minus 40% damage taken on her attack that turn, but then she can't trigger this bonus again for another couple turns. So getting the best impact out of her does take some timing and positioning. Her 3-cost skill is a pretty potent collection of all the nice bonuses you want to see in a basic attack. It's a ranged single-target attack that can only be used in straight lines. It ignores melee penalties, it heals her to 100% HP before battle, it strips 5 buffs from the target, it reduces the target's defense by 30%, after the attack, it also hits 4 blocks along that line with a bonus shot of AoE damage. Plus, she can use Firebrand snipers for post-battle fixed damage if she wants. Her kit has a few more interesting skills as well. She has a skill that heals her and then lets her move 2 more blocks and attack. She has a small AoE that pushes enemies away from the epicenter of the blast. And she has a single target attack with boosted crit. The interesting thing about these skills is they can only be used 3 times to reflect her limited stock of ammo. After you've used the single target skill 3 times, it turns into a reload skill that heals her and refreshes its charges, but you can't get the other 2 skills back. She's a member of Heroes of Time, buffed by Joshua, Angelica, and Yusuke, Protagonists buffed by Matthew and Emperor Lovina, and Mythical Realm buffed by Gizaroth and the Sage of the Trees. For content, in PvE she's on faction for Phoenix, Hugin and Munin, and Fenrir, but she's really more of a PvP-focused character. Unfortunately, her PvP factions are awkward, but that's usually not much of an obstacle in this day and age, with alternative stat buff sources lying all over the place. Her powerful 3C attack and her ability to bring some displacement with her grenade AoE are both good threats. She doesn't ignore guard though, so she's not an assassin, just another fairly glassy cannon. I do want to take a minute to talk about the free SR character you can get from the event, Isara. She's not one of the units you can summon from the banner, so don't try to summon her. Just complete the Secret Realm event stages and you'll get her. Isara is technically a tank, albeit a limited one. She can guard physical attacks, and she has some damage reduction in her talent. She's also literally a tank, like literally. This is her sprite. The other neat protective thing she can do is reduce damage from line AoEs for any allies who are lined up behind her. Now, this is obviously not something that's going to come into play very often, but it's kind of a cute little effect. Other than that, she doesn't really do any other normal tank stuff. Her 3-cost skill is an AoE blast that reduces enemy movement and makes them unable to guard. She has another minor AoE and a single target heal in her regular kit. She's cute, but otherwise unimpressive. She's a member of Heroes of Time buffed by Joshua, Angelica, and Yusuke, and Strategic Masters buffed by Altemuller and Lanford. So let's move on to the notes for noobs. Selvaria is a must-summon for Collectors or Valkyria Chronicles fans, because she's a limited unit and she won't be coming back on a rerun for a couple of years at best. For everyone else, she's arguably one of the most skippable collab units we've ever had. Alicia is also a must-summon for Collectors or Valkyria Chronicles fans for the same reasons, but she also has the added benefit of actually being pretty solid for PvP. She's certainly not the kind of unit that's going to be a staple in everyone's box, but she can be a decent DPS option for people who want to do something a little creative. Finally, let's just wrap things up with my usual reminder about upcoming banners. Throughout the rest of this monthly update, we're supposed to get another chance to summon Evil God Kruger and Werner von Eigel, Angelina, Lambda, and Mariendel, Dehart, King of the Red Moon, and Young Jessica, and Elwyn, Bernhardt, and Leon. In China, this update cycle lasted 5 weeks, with the bonus week being the 2 Valentine's Day trade-in event banners featuring Clotaire and Rosenseal and Elma and Ares. However, all of Zilong's announcements so far have shown this major update ending on June 15th, which only gives us the normal 4 weeks. Maybe they're wrong, or maybe we're in for another bit of banner scheduling shenanigans. Worst case scenario, the Yu Yu Hakusho rerun happened in the update after this one in China. If the global licensing agreement didn't shake down the right way, it's possible those Valentine banners are going to get slotted into where the contentious collab would have been. We'll have to wait and see, and keep our fingers crossed that we don't get the global shaft. Alright, so that's it for this episode. Let us know on the Discord or in the comments below who you're summoning for and who you ended up getting. My resources are a bit lower than usual after summoning hard for the Commander and the Archon last month, but I am going to try to secure 1 copy of each of these, purely for collection purposes, if possible. We know how my attempts to do that on the Overlord banner went. Not very successful, so if that happens to me again this month, I'm going to be kinda crushed. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you all the best of luck in your summons, and I'll catch you in the next Should You Summon. Extra special thanks, of course, to our Langrisser tier channel members for generously supporting the channel directly. Shout out to Levitt, Derek Gunderson, Kate Soon, Jared Portela, Eden Seal, Jerome Meyer, Shara Ilimirius, and Harambe.